We're back now with a striking reality out of Baltimore, a city that's faced repeated criticism from President Trump and from others over its high rate of crime, but now it's making headlines for the exact opposite. Baltimore had its lowest number of homicides through the first 6 months of the year, with just 60. That's down from 68 homicides over the same period last year, 88 the year before, and 142 back in the first half of 2023. That's a decrease even outpaced the national decline from 2019 to 2026. Homicides dropped by 31% in major cities across the U.S., but in Baltimore it fell by 68. Joining us tonight, the man leading the city of Baltimore, Mayor Brandon Scott, who has been in office since 2021. Mayor Scott, thanks for joining Top Story. What do you think is working to drive these numbers down?
When I took office in 2020, we talked about we were going to look at violence in Baltimore in a different way. We were going to look at it as a public health all-in approach and not just solely putting on the back of our police officers. And when you look at it the way that we've been doing it, when you have our police officers through our group violence reduction strategy, focus on the small percentage of people, less than 2%, who are responsible for the overwhelming amount of violence in our city, going after those folks, but also offering people a chance to change their lives, you see this impact. When you have us going after illegal guns coming into our city, gun traffickers, gun stores, gun companies who have been going around our laws helping to fuel this violence. When you see those great cases that our police officers are making handed to our state's attorney, our U.S. attorney, and our attorney general here in Baltimore, you see that. When you see this historic investment that we've made into community violence intervention through Safe Streets, through We Are Us, all these community-based organizations who have been waiting to have the city invest in them because they are the people closest to the problem, so they're the people closer to the solution. All of that together, coupled with our historic investment into young people in schools and wrecking parks and youth jobs, all of it, how Baltimore has done this.
So the Department of Justice, as you know, started monitoring Baltimore police a decade ago after the death of Freddie Gray, an unarmed black man in police custody. How much has changed since then, and does the DOJ deserve some of the credit for getting these numbers down as well?
Well, the truth of the matter is that Baltimore deserves the credit. Baltimore did this, right? We were a city, I was on the city council back then. We weren't told that we were going to have a consent decree. We asked for it. Baltimore asked for it. And what we are is a guiding example of how you can reform a police department that is light years what it was, not just in 2015, but in the 90s and the 80s when I was growing up. And we still have a long way to go. When you can see a department that's reforming and reducing gun violence at the same time, that puts aside all the things that people normally say about police reform. You can do both. You can have an all and above approach. One thing does not have to outweigh the other.
I was in your city for a ride along with police officers in Baltimore back in 2021 after the police department was mandated to make reforms and working on earning trust from the community. Where does trust of the police stand now, and how far do you have to go?
Well, we have a long way to go, but we have come a mighty long way. When you think about our homicide division clearing 60%, over 60% of their homicides, you don't do that without a better relationship with the community. A few short years ago, we had 37, 40% clearance rates. When you see the amount of tips that come into the police department, folks who are actually saying they want to help the police get rid of illegal activity in their community, that doesn't help them without rebuilding relationships. No, we are not done by a long shot. But when you think about where we were some 10, 11 years ago versus where we are today, we have come a long way of improving how our police department and our community works together.
As we were getting ready for this interview, my team says that as city council president, you slashed the police budget by $22 million. But after you were elected mayor, you actually increased that same budget by $28 million. What did you learn, and why did you change?
So it's not a change. I think this is something when folks have to get into the details. I didn't slash the budget by $22 million. I found $22 million in their budget that not even the sitting police commissioner, who would become my police commissioner at the time, knew what the money went to. No one will allow any organization to operate like that. And in fact, what I did was in units that we didn't really need to help us meet our consent decree reforms by putting people back into patrol cars so they could police their communities. And when you talk about the increase, that increase essentially is just salaries rising because of our new contracts and us giving officers more money in benefits. But this was never for us a defund the police quote per se. This was us how can we right size and have a both and approach. We have now been able to make historic investments into CVI, over $50 million into CVI for us, versus also making sure that we're supporting our police department, while we also have made records of investment into our school system and recreation and parks with $200 million in capital.
You've heard this, but I want to play it for our viewers. This is President Trump talking about your city last year.
I'm not walking in Baltimore right now. Baltimore is a hellhole. Baltimore is a horrible, horrible deathbed. It's a deathbed.
What's your message to President Trump tonight?
My message is what it always has been. We don't need the president here, but he should understand that Baltimore is the city that is leading this country's reduction in violence, and we don't have the National Guard, and we don't have all these other things that they say that we need. We have done it ourselves with the folks who have been here working to improve our city, and all we need our federal government to do is support us in doing the things that we've been doing, it because we have come a long way without the help that he thinks we need. We have a great federal delegation here in the state of Maryland. They have been grateful and helpful. We just need him to get out of the way.
Mayor Brandon Scott, we thank you for joining Top Story and talking to us tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.